This is John Chapman with the 49ers Rush podcast, and you are watching CG Ruthless Sports. Hope you're ready.
You know, some people out there, when they talk, they fake the funk. You want brutally honest? Well, if you are brutally honest, look no further than CG Ruthless Sports.
CG Ruthless.
CG Ruthless Sports.
CG Ruthless.
If you want your sports talk to be brutally honest, come check out CG.
CG Ruthless.
If you're not watching CG Ruthless, I don't know what to tell you. Representing the Niner Empire.
CG Ruthless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Payo Time. What's good, bro?
Dude, so good to be on the show, man. I love your intro, love your content. I hope you're doing well today. I'm ready to talk some Niners, Rams. It's a big game coming up. I'm stoked. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media platform, man.
Yeah, I got Twitter, I got Instagram, all that jazz, but really my YouTube channel is where it's at. I talk mainly about the Rams, but also other football content. I'm pretty much, the way I look at it, I love talking about football. If you love talking about football, give me a sub. We'll talk about some football.
Yeah, same way as like you just said it, man. That's the same way I would feel, except I feel for the Niners and NFL in general. You know, a little bit of everything, man. Like everybody has their own cup of tea of what they like. You know, you got your own tea of the Rams, but you know, I think this is probably the best week of football. I think this can be one of the games that could determine the Niners season or determine whether the Rams could win their division or not. You know.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you know when you look at it. So the Rams are for sure in the playoffs, but we can be anywhere as high as the number 2 seed, or we could be anywhere as low as the number 5 seed right now. So, you know, this game, if we win, we're the number 2 seed. It's pretty simple. That would be awesome. I think, you know, that's ideal outcome for the Rams. But if we lose, then it depends on what happens with the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. And you know we'll see where our seeding and the Cardinals obviously as well.
Yeah, you guys have it pretty simple when it comes down to it. Like we have to win this game at least, or a Saints loss would pretty much put us in the spot. So it's like I guess the spot isn't guaranteed. But looking at the Eagles, they're at the 7th seed, and I'm like thinking, okay, I guess it doesn't make any sense, but they already clinched everything, so it doesn't matter for them.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Crazy Juice? What's up, Chardall? He loves your content.
Yeah. SG, he is a question machine.
Yeah, he's a question. Like I'm running out of questions right now because this guy's been throwing me a lot of questions off the flip side. But yeah,
5 comments in there before the stream even started. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, like he's cool. But so when I look at the matchup against the Rams, you know, I feel like you guys are building momentum. You guys are on a 5-game winning streak, and I know this game has vengeance written all over it because you guys want to get over the hump. Just like how Steve Young used to say, "Get that monkey off my back." You want to get that monkey off your back. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, like you know, you'll notice probably within the Ramley and I know you're talking to a lot of Rams content creators this week. But the Rams and Niners rivalry, it's deep. It's probably one of the more underappreciated rivalries in the NFL. However, yeah, you're right, David. Oh, I still have nightmares about Nick Mullins. Don't. But I really feel that you know the Rams, like when you play an opponent twice a year. And when it's been, you know, over 2 years since we've beaten you guys, that's just annoying. That's frustrating. No one wants that for their team, right? Hey, trash talking Tommy's in the house. What's up, Tommy? But it's just it's one of those things that if your team constantly is losing to a division rival, they get to hold it over you. And when I'm not gonna lie, I'm a football fan. When the Rams lost to the Niners, I saw all the memes about Kyle Shanahan being Sean McVay's daddy, and Sean McVay's photoshopped on a little kid holding his hands. And it's funny, it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's infuriating. And I don't want that. I'm hoping that the Rams are able to get the Niners off their back, and that'd be a great way to go into the playoffs, win the NFC West crown, take the number 2 seed. I would love it. Tommy, that's a great question. If the Niners were to sweep us in the season and play in the playoffs, I'm okay with it. I know some Ram fans don't want to see the Niners in the playoff because you guys have had our number. I'm not of that mindset. I'm of the mindset of, okay, if that happens, we got to change the narrative, and the playoffs would be a great time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same way when it comes down to Seattle, because Seattle's kind of like the same thing with us. Like, they've had our number, and it's frustrating. It keeps getting to the point. It's exactly the same way when it comes to Russell Wilson owning the team. That's kind of been annoying for us for quite a while. And these arrogant Seattle fans come out of the blue and talk all that smack and talk about they own us and all that stuff. It's like, it gets very annoying, just like the way you feel about your Rams getting owned by my team. It's been a rivalry for years. It doesn't really get the recognition. Like, people talk about the Bears and Packers. That's a definitely greatest rivalry in some ways, but people don't talk about the Rams and Niners. It's like that rivalry does have some good meaning to it. Like, you have these two teams competing year in and year out, and they played in one of the toughest divisions in football. But the one thing that stands out about the Niners and Rams is they just have a different they just play a similar offense, if I'm being honest, except you guys have 3 talented receivers, or 4 if you want to include Robert Woods on IR, but still, you guys have at least far better receiving talent, except for a tight end. There's no Kittle, but he's at least decent. What do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I very much agree with you. And I will give a shout out to first off, Corey Davis. You're awesome, buddy. That's awesome. You giving the $5 super chat and support.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
Corey supports so many channels. I love Corey Davis. But I see Tommy's mentioning Van Jefferson, who can contribute. Obviously, Robert Woods on IR hurts our team. Cooper Kupp, he's playing amazing. He is playing like the best wide receiver in football. He's having statistically one of the best wide receiver seasons in the history of the NFL. And Tyler Higbee as tight end. He's a good tight end. He's no George Kittle. I'm not gonna disrespect Kittle that way. Kittle's a great tight end. I'm really curious about how the flow of this game goes. I really feel like this game could be a lower scoring game. One of those kind of 17-14 or 20-17 kind of game. I don't see this being a barn burner, but I think that both teams are going to come in with an aggressive, pass rush, because both the Niners and the Rams can get after the quarterback, and it'll be interesting to see which defense makes that key interception to change the game. Is there that special team mistake that happens? Those little things that happen. I feel like a play or two of that is going to happen in this game, and that will be the difference of who wins this game.
Yeah, and the one interesting thing about this game is, so you might just have to play without. We might not have Williams for this game, and I think Cooper's going to have a field day, so that's going to probably be the tougher task. But I have the confidence with Diamado Lenore. He might be solid, so he might be okay for now. But I'd like to give a huge shout out to his sister, who was on my stream before. So it's kind of an appreciation of her to give me a super chat at one point. But I'm giving him the benefit of doubt if Williams doesn't play. I got confidence in that kid. But yeah, you guys definitely do. On statistics, Cooper Kupp is having one of the best seasons by far. He might even reach 2,000 yards almost. I mean,
He might get there. I don't know. He's 135 yards away from Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record, and so that's cool. But the reality is Cooper Kupp does so much more than He leads the league in yards, receptions, and touchdown receptions. Plus, when you look at what Cooper Kupp, he's very active in the run blocking game. And I know the Niners receivers are similar, like they're required to run block a lot more than other teams, and the Rams very much do that as well. But Cooper Kupp, he is literally playing every position, the tight end position, the slot. He's playing out wide. He'll be in the backfield some plays. I know you guys have a guy like Deebo Samuel who gets moved around a lot too. And Cooper Kupp has, very much that very unique skill set that can play any of the positions and be a weapon anywhere on the field. And Cooper Kupp, I've always said this, there's maybe other receivers in the NFL that are more physically talented. They have a larger catch radius. Maybe they're faster. But Cooper Kupp, there is an argument, and I would claim it, is the smartest receiver in the NFL. It's not uncommon for Cooper Kupp to audible the offense from the wide receiver position. He'll say something to Sean McVay or to Stafford pre-snap even, and he'll notice a route or a mismatch or something like that. And Cooper Kupp, he's actually the one who in our last game was able to audible a play that made it so that we got a really big gain that helped us get back and win against the Ravens in that nail biter. So Cooper Kupp, not just physically on the field, but also mentally in the mind. He's a weapon for sure.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's definitely been one. He's not the fastest, but he can run the best routes, and he can definitely, like you just said, he's mentally smart when it comes down to it. That's one of the main reasons why he's part of the leading receiver, because he's smart on the field and he definitely knows when to be at the right place. But then when you want to talk about Deebo, man, I know he's not in the same level as Cooper Kupp, but there's a lot of ways you can use Deebo. Like, this guy is like a running back out there, but he's a receiver. So it's like, you can't tackle this guy. You might have to gang tackle this guy at least. But when you think of this matchup, what's concerning about facing Deebo twice a year now? So it's like, this guy's he has your number.
Yeah, Deebo, I think the thing. So again, as a football fan, I love Deebo Samuel. He's such a fun player to watch. As a Rams fan, oh man, Deebo Samuel, like we want to keep him off the field, and it could be that's just, Tommy's saying it right here, making the other team one-dimensional. I think both the Niners and the Rams need to play a bit of ball hog this year. In the games that the Rams have lost this year, and especially against the Niners last time, it's because teams have hogged the ball against us. They've taken advantage of bad turnovers by the Rams, and like the reality is, any game that the Rams don't commit a turnover, they win. And recently, now that being said, Stafford is coming off of back-to-back game with 3+ turnovers, and the Rams still won, which is really cool to see. But hopefully we don't make a habit of that going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Stafford. Stafford's kind of like bringing back the Detroit version of him. Like, you can't get the Detroit out of him for some reason. But Stafford, I think he's just an upgrade over Jared Goff, and you just see the results of what he's doing in Detroit. It's not making no difference over there. So it's like with Stafford, you're definitely having your offense at a better level. But your running backs, I mean, I'm hearing that Cam Akers is coming back. Is he going to make his debut start from injuries or what?
Yeah, so on Sean McVay's press conference last night, which, okay, now that being said, we've heard rumors about this for a couple weeks, but Sean McVay did confirm on his press conference last night on the Coach McVay show that Cam Akers is set to make his season debut with the Rams this Sunday against the Niners. We don't necessarily know how involved he's going to be. It's going to be really interesting to see that, but honestly, I'm celebrating this guy. He's a young player. It's his second year in the NFL. he had a horrible Achilles injury in the offseason, which no one wants to see that. But he's had a remarkable recovery to come back. This is like 6 months, and he's back from this injury that normally takes 9 to 10 months to heal. And so it'll be cool to see him in there. I still expect Sony Michel to be the lead back because he's been running it pretty well. But yeah, I'm super stoked to see Cam Akers in this game. And then I heard that I think I saw a meme of this somewhere or something like that Elijah Mitchell, he just got the 49ers rookie rushing record this year.
Yeah, speaking of that rookie record, the previous rookie record was held in 1971 by Vic Washington, that's a long time ago. But that was his only Pro Bowl year too, was his rookie year. So I guess that's the record that was there for so many years. But from what I saw Elijah Mitchell, that's a guy we got in the 6th round. Mm-hmm. At first we were expecting Trey Sermon to be the guy, but it's not the case. It's the other way around. I just think that Elijah Mitchell just fits the system a lot better than Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon's more like your physical type of back. Elijah Mitchell just runs into the holes, just kind of like how Mostert does it. But I think he brings a different kind of physical. Also, like he can get physical after contact and he can get the extra yardage. I mean, when I watch Elijah Mitchell play, I kind of see a little bit of Charlie Gardner in me, but then I see the heart of a Frank Gore a little bit. I know some fans are probably going to give me a cap and give me a hard time on that one, but I think that's a good compliment because he's undersized too, and he was coming off injuries. So
it'll be interesting to see, that running back matchup. You can run on the Rams every now and then. Their run defense, especially in the fourth quarter, have been playing at an elite level. But yeah, we'll see how. How can the Rams contain Elijah Mitchell in this game?
Yeah, it's not just containing Elijah Mitchell. You know how this may hurt you, but Debo can hurt you in the running game.
No, hey, we got to watch out for the Debo as well. Yeah, I think I've heard Debo described as like the jackknife of the Niners offense.
Before that, it was just Kyle Juszczyk. Now it's just him. Kyle Juszczyk is another good player we got, but Kittle hasn't been exactly like the way he would be, but he's still effective. So even if Kittle is doing good as a run blocker, he's doing well for our running game. But when it comes to him getting the ball, that's when we have a factor. But speaking of the wide receivers, I mean, besides Debo, you got Ayuk, man. He's kind of been on fire ever since. Like he's been on fire. Let's talk about this guy, man. Like he was considered in the doghouse, right, for a while, but now he's kind of shaking it off and got it together. And I guess he's starting to play his best football since that Monday Night Football game. He was playing his best game. So it's like this guy's been playing lights out now.
I love it whenever your fellow Niners YouTuber Jay in the Bay talks about the Ayuk show.
Yeah, the Ayuk, man. The Ayuk, that guy's just he just got the long arms. He's physical after the catch. So you see that. Like at first, when I first saw him getting drafted, I wasn't really sure about this guy. And the more he started playing, the more I liked him. But I wanted the guy from Oklahoma because I'm an Oklahoma fan. But I do like this other guy. Speaking of another receiver, he may not be like our top-notch receiver, but this guy is a physical type receiver that we like. He's 6'3", but 212 pounds. But this guy plays like a running back out there. I mean, Juwan Jennings is like he's like a bully. If I had to be honest, man, this guy can get under your skin. But he's a big wide receiver. But comparing to the Rams receiver, you guys have the far better receivers overall. But when I look at the matchup, Stafford should be able to have no problem on our secondary. But then again, maybe we might capitalize because he can get aggressive, right? He's been throwing picks. He's been doing giveaways. Like, you know how Oprah would say, you get a ball, you get a ball.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Well, I think something that's been frustrating as a Rams fan is, and again, I love Stafford. I am not of the mindset of the trade was a failure to get him or anything like that. I think the reality is he's had some bad games, and a lot of his interceptions are very similar, which are annoying. He either throws it, close to our own end zone for a pick six, which, sucks, or he's bombing it down the field to OBJ and they have like a miscommunication and it gets picked off. And I'm hoping that they're able to correct this for this game, but also definitely into the playoffs. And, I'd love to get back to like 3 touchdowns a game, 300 yards, no pick Stafford, because that was working really great earlier in the year. Kind of a dream scenario for the Rams. But we'll see. It does help. Something that's encouraging is, even though Stafford has had these, bad starts to the game, he really has been doing well later on in the game. And in that game against Baltimore last week on Sunday, he actually went 14 for 14 in the second half. And, he had close to a perfect passer rating in the second half, not the first half. The first half, he was not good. But, so, the optimism is there, is that he can turn it on. He can take over the game. And it's just a matter of, limiting those mistakes.
Yeah, it is. And especially Stafford, even though, Baltimore, they've been going through injuries.
Yeah.
This season, they were playing great football, but a lot of the injuries are starting to hurt them. But I mean, you guys beat an actual solid team. Like Baltimore, they were in the verge of making the playoffs, but it looks like they're pretty slim now. But when you look at the way you guys were able to capitalize, it's not about like how you win, it's how you finish. So it's like you guys finished strong, and it was like in the last second of the game, so you guys were able to close it out and get that win. And the thing with Stafford is the main key factor for the Rams in this game is the chemistry with him and Odell Beckham. That's going to be the main important factor. And then you got the other receivers and all that, and then Cooper Kupp. But I think it's going to determine on how you guys use OBJ. Because if he can be a factor, that could be a tough day for the secondary. And speaking of our secondary, there's been a lot of injury issues. So it's like I'm looking at the COVID list. It doesn't look like Williams will play, so we'll probably have Lenore out there maybe. And I don't know what's going on with the other guys, but I think Jimmy Ward's supposed to be out there. I think he's clear, so I think he should be good. Looking at Dante Johnson, I don't know if he'll play this week, but it looks like we might get Emmanuel Mosley for this week's game. So, yeah. It's definitely going to be a tough task because how are we going to be able to cover your receivers? I think your receivers should be able to have a field day, but it depends on how Stafford throws the ball.
Yeah, and I see Tommy in there talking about maybe Stafford plays a more conservative game, and I honestly do have that thought, Tommy, that just because I do think this is going to be a closer game. I think that McVay wants to limit those turnovers with Stafford. And the reality is we can run the ball effectively with Sony Michel. And if we can do the thing is you can't give up pushing the ball down the field. That's why they traded to get Stafford, because Goff just wasn't doing that. But if we can take advantage of your secondary and push the ball down the field, Stafford's going to get those chances. But I do think it could be a little more conservative this game, just because I think that's going to be the flow of this game. I don't see this being a high-scoring game, but hey, I could be wrong.
It could be a low-score game because we know each other and our defense is very similar when it comes down to it. So it should be a very close game. Our offense may not be as good as you guys, but it at least gets us very closer. But speaking of the offensive line, I know you guys don't have much of the best talented offensive line. I know you guys have been giving up some issues with. That's probably what led to Stafford throwing picks or getting pressure quickly. Like, can you explain to what's the issue with the O-line?
Yeah, the Rams O-line is better than what they're rated, I would say. Unfortunately, there's just the odd play here and there where they give up a sack that turns ugly fast. But no, like I have confidence in this O-line. It's a pretty veteran O-line. It's not one. They're not a very penalized O-line, which I love that because for years the Rams were always one of the more penalized teams under like Jeff Fisher. But that's something that Sean McVay has done really well to get down the penalties. And I think don't quote me on this. I know we're top 5, but we might be the least penalized O-line in the NFL this season. So that's something that you like to see from your O-line. But yeah, there definitely are some question marks on that interior. We had a couple of weeks where players were out with COVID. I'm still waiting to hear if we get our right tackle Havenstance back. He should be back ready for this game. But we have some other pieces that have had to move around because of COVID and injury. Stuff that every NFL team faces.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think that's like the one question mark everybody's always been concerned about the Rams is that O-line, but it hasn't been too bad. Like you said, the previous years they were really terrible. But how do you guys feel about the matchup between Bosa and Armstead? And then you got Arden Key who's coming into his own, and then you got quite a few of those other guys. Like our depth wise is pretty solid. Like, is it concerning that you guys will have to try to do your best to hold on to Nick Bosa, even if you got to chokehold him a little bit?
Hey, I know that Bosa gets held a ton, and I know that Aaron Donald also gets held a ton. It's part of premier pass rushers. Unfortunately, they get held and no one calls it, which sucks, and it's gonna be frustrating to see that for both Rams and Niners fans all day. Yeah, no, it's exciting to see Andrew Whitworth. He's a 40-year-old left tackle who's still playing at a high level, and I know he's someone who will be watching the tape on Bosa. He's played against him a few times. That's the thing. This O-line knows the Niners pass rush really well. The Niners O-line knows the Rams pass rush really well. I am optimistic that Von Miller will make a difference in this game for the Rams. And because the Niners haven't played the Rams yet with Vaughn truly at his full potential.
Yeah, Vaughn was barely getting there, and that's when you guys got him out there. So it's kind of like it takes time, but it took time for Arden Key to break in a little bit. So that's how it goes. But when you speak of speaking of your guys' pass rush, yeah, Aaron Donald, he's probably one of the best defensive linemen in football. He disrupts games and he makes it very difficult for opposing offensive line to do their job. And offensive coordinator had to figure out ways to avoid him. So it's like most quarterbacks hate to go through this guy. Ask Russell Wilson. He probably hates going through this guy any other week. So it's like anybody doesn't want to put up with him. But when you talk about Aaron Donald, he's always dominated against really good offensive line. But my main question is, why does he do terrible against Daniel Brunskill? Brunskill's a journeyman lineman, and he holds him up like he's a rag doll or something, man. What is it with this guy?
I don't know, man. I want a urine sample after this game. I want him drug tested after. I don't know, man. I have no clue. It's one of those like great enigmas in the NFL of how like this journeyman lineman can contain Aaron Donald. And I do believe it's not all him. Like I believe coaching has a large part to play in that, and that the Niners game plan for Aaron Donald better than most coaches, if not all coaches. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that Aaron Donald, he is someone that can hold a grudge, and he's mad about that Niners loss. So I'm hoping that he comes into this game and can wreck your pocket.
Well, you gotta hope he is, or maybe that frustration isn't the best part, because that's what probably been hurting him mentally inside. Like, I mean, in his previous past, when he's played against us, it's always been a frustrating factor, but it kind of caused him penalties from time to time, or got him ejected for all those composures. But yeah, when you speak of that, Von Miller, you're probably not going to get the guy who was defensive player of the year, but you're going to get somebody who's going to definitely make your pass rush a lot better and the defense better all around. So he's going to definitely be an X factor. And then you got Leonard Floyd, probably one of your most underrated defensive line. I mean, pass rushers. I think he's probably one of the better guys that you got, and you got him for a bargain. What do you think of him?
Yeah, no, I love Leonard Floyd. Again, in the offseason, there was some people that didn't want the Rams to sign Leonard Floyd to the big contract that he signed with us. But yeah, we got him from the Bears because the Bears let him walk, and then we had him on, I think, a 1-year deal, and then we signed him to a long-term contract. But definitely, he's lived up to the hype. He's been worth the money. And yeah, I'm pretty stoked about Leonard Floyd in this defense.
Yeah, I think he came a really long ways from the Bears, and then you guys made him pretty good. Like, just the way we're doing it with Arden Key. Arden Key found a new home. The Raiders didn't know how to use him, And I like that when they benefit from something like a change of scenery is always a good thing. But especially for those guys like Leonard Floyd, I don't think he was ever a household name in Chicago. But now that he's becoming a solid name for you guys, that speaks volume. Whatever happened to Dante Fowler? Probably not the same. Whatever happened to Kerry Hyder? Not the same. I mean, you got Arden Key breaking out also. So it's like we're finding some of those gems and making the most out of them. So I feel like the Rams and Niners know how to utilize the better talent. So it's like, I know you're not big on Raheem Morris, and I think his track record is impressive, but lately it hasn't really been quite good, right?
So, okay, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Raheem Morris, the past 3 games, has been doing amazing. I think a lot of Rams fans were frustrated with the term "bend but don't break" has been brought up a lot in the Rams fandom this season, and I'll be honest, Raheem Morris has called a good game. Like, the Ravens didn't score a touchdown against the Rams, at all. The only touchdown they scored was off that pick 6 by Stafford. The Rams defense didn't give up a touchdown. They are a phenomenal red zone defense under Raheem Morris, and it has been frustrating at times when they've needed to get off the field and haven't been able to. But in recent weeks, they've really tightened up, and this secondary has been playing better. The pass rush has been playing lights out. And as someone who has been frustrated with Raheem Morris at times this season, in the same breath, I have to give him credit. He's really turned it around since the bye week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I know some play callers could be questionable. Like, I know a lot of our fans were in defense of D'Amico Ryans, but I know he's getting some experience. So this guy's barely becoming a defensive coordinator. And I know it takes time for a lot of them to excel, but there's been times where he's actually made some solid adjustments, just like how we want it to be. But there's been times where it's been questionable, but it will get better with experience. But with Raheem Morris, he has like an impressive resume when it comes to working with Tampa Bay, because he was a really good defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers and the Falcons, and I forget what other teams he was around. I think it was Vikings or something like that. Yeah, but he's been really well respected.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm, I can honestly say that, it shocks me that there were people and reports, I shouldn't say reports. There were Twitter rumors essentially of Raheem Morris getting fired or something like that. But now you hear his name with like head coaching buzz for next season, which is crazy and good for Morris.
Well, he does have a resume that kind of he's been a head coach before, so it kind of gives him some recognition. And plus, he's not too far off as a coach when it comes to like getting guys prepared and all that stuff. So he did, yeah.
And any players you talk to, they love Raheem Morris, and like Jalen Ramsey will sing Raheem Morris's praises all day, right? So yeah, he definitely wouldn't be the worst head coaching option out there for people.
Yeah, and that's just how the players feel about D'Amico Ryans too. They like this guy also. He's very likable compared to Saleh. I mean, no disrespect to Saleh, but I'm pretty sure he did a solid job. But the players seem to want to play for D'Amico for some reason. Yeah. But it takes time with the strides and all that. So as long as we get better in time, but I feel like the secondary has always been the Achilles heels. So it's like you said, it's like a bend don't break type of defense for us. Like every now and then we might give up some big plays and it might lead to a touchdown or so. But the one thing that I feel confident about, as long as we get Emmanuel Mosley back, if we can get him back, I like what I see out of the rookie from Michigan. Ivory Thomas has gotten better as the season went on, and I feel like he's gotten better in coverage situations, but you guys are going to give us some issues, and that's going to be the challenging part is your receivers against one of our corners. So I feel like you guys might have the upper advantage, but then we might face your secondary. So it could be an evenly fair matchup right there.
Absolutely. And I see we got a couple of questions coming in here. Is Corey Davis again for the super chat. I'll talk about this because I've definitely looked into it a lot. I saw it on Sunday, and that's not what you want to see from your secondary that are so Jalen Ramsey hit Taylor Rapp, who's a safety with the Rams, and Sean McVay and anyone else who's talked about it within the Rams organization, they kind of attribute it to as, you know, two brothers fighting. Like they just emotions got high, and that happens in football all the time when you're out on the field and people, there's a miscommunication, they yell at each other, something like that. And so some people would kind of pin that as this was Jalen Ramsey holding Taylor Rapp accountable. Others will say that it was just like tempers flaring, things like that. I truly believe that this was just, you know, two teammates that are, you know, very, you know, caught in the heat of the game. And that's what happened. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but we live in a world where people love to blow stuff out of proportion all the time. And that's what I think the internet's doing to this situation.
Well, yeah, and you speak of it like, okay, as a guy who's played football before, there's been those heat of the moments where you would actually fight with your teammate because of the miscommunication or because of the assignment they didn't do right. Like I was at some positions to where I was in the sideline at one point where our team got blown out so bad that I even got into a scuffle with a head coach, or not a head coach, but one of the coaching staffs, and it kind of got ugly. But I was trying to express what was going on and letting him know this is what we're doing wrong and we need to fix it. And he kept playing the stubborn game, and I came up to him. Then the teammates try to separate it and all that stuff. But that's football. That's just how some players feel about the passion. And Jalen Ramsey has every right to get to his teammate. You need to hold that person accountable.
Yeah, and hey, Ramelia Sports Report, good to see you, my Rams brother. And I you know, again, I think that Jalen Ramsey is a phenomenal player. Taylor Rapp at times I've been frustrated with, but he's had his good games, he's had his bad games, and if it was a communication that just got heated, you know, I believe both of them are professional enough that they can move on from it.
Yeah, it's one of those get over it type of situation. But hey, the Ramelia Sports Report, man, I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow. A good buddy of mine. I mean, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Ramelia is one of my favorite YouTubers. You guys are gonna have a great time.
No, we go a little way back, but he's a good dude.
Absolutely. I see Tommy's question up there that who would I rather face, Lance or Jimmy G? Now, I've thought a lot about this. I've talked about this with a lot of Rams fans, and I think it's one of those things that, in one angle, Jimmy G, you know, he's the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's going to be good. It's maybe not something that you're super excited about, but like it's solid. It's a solid lunch, right? Trey Lance is like that mystery restaurant down the street that people want to try for lunch. You don't know if it's good. You don't know if it's bad. Maybe it has cockroaches. Maybe it's terrible. But maybe it's the next greatest restaurant you've ever had lunch at, right? And I would rather, in this game, face Trey Lance just because it's a big game, put the pressure on the rookie, from that perspective. But at the same time, Jimmy G, this might be his last regular season game with the Niners, and I'd be okay, beating Jimmy G and making sure that he doesn't get the last laugh with the Rams. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I think that you have a smart head coach who's going to put, you know, the quarterback that gives you the best chance to win the game. Lance definitely had his moments last week where he looked good. Do I think that, you know, from a football perspective, you should roll with Lance over Jimmy G? I don't think that personally, but as a Rams fan, if I had to pick between the two, I'd rather you have Lance in there.
Well, you can't go wrong with it. Like, you pick your poison, but you already know what you're going to get with Jimmy, but he's coming off an injury, so I don't see no chance that Jimmy's going to play. Thumb surgery takes a while to heal, and plus it's a throwing thumb, so it's like you're not going to play. But if you're going to play Trey Lance, you're going to play against a rookie. He's going to have his moments. And you just saw the tape of what he did against the Houston Texans. In the first half, he had his moments, and then in the second half, he started playing great football, and that's what we looked at. So I'd like to give a huge shout out to one of my NFC West roundtable mates, Ram Showcase.
Love that guy. Sup, Sheriff Joe?
Yeah, Sarah Jolf, man. We're gonna have a good debate this week, so definitely gonna have him on my either on his show or my show. We'll probably discuss it later on.
Absolutely. CG, I love how you're bringing all like the Rams YouTubers on your channel this week. It's awesome, man.
I just have the energy. I love every fan base of all NFL teams. I mean, even if you're a Cowboys or a Raiders fan, it doesn't matter to me as long as you give me that energy and excitement. But I just like the Rambly for the energy, man. They bring something to the table that most of my fan base brings differently, but they just have much love for me. That's the best part. Yeah, but yeah, like you just said, you put it in a better terminology. Like, who would you rather face? Jimmy G is your classic peanut butter jelly, but a restaurant, it could either be the best or it could be the worst. But we already got a glimpse against the Houston Texans, so maybe it might not be too bad. Maybe it might be solid.
Yeah, I think the Niners fandom. I think with Trey, the only thing you risk putting him out there is those mistakes that cost you the game, right? He might play electric, but then he makes those couple mistakes. He throws that throw he shouldn't have thrown. He rolls out to the right when he should have stepped up in the pocket, right? They're making those simple mistakes that rookie quarterbacks just make sometimes.
Yeah. And that's what you would expect from the rookie. I mean, Trey Lance did have like his moments against the Cardinals, and that was learning experience, but he did have his moments with the Houston Texans. I'm just wondering how he's going to improve against an actual good defense. Like, I think your defense is going to give him some problems. I think our line's going to have some issues, and it depends on how Trey Lance can handle that pressure. And that will be the true test, because let's be honest, the Houston Texans defense isn't that great. And I think the Rams will definitely give us some fits. I mean, you got Aaron Donald, you got guys like Leonard Floyd and Von Miller, and guys like Alshon Robinson and your other depth players. That's going to be issues right there. So if I see how Trey Lance responds against that Rams defense and plays, like if he plays great, then that shows a true test that he should be our guy and Jimmy's got to go.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you a question? And I mean no shade by it at all, but it's something that I am curious from a Niners fan perspective. Is if the Niners make the playoffs, which there's like even the Saints lose to the Falcons or the Niners win, like there's paths to the playoffs. What is your confidence level that this Niners team this year could go on a Super Bowl run?
Man, dude, I'm not even thinking of Super Bowl. I'm thinking about just getting into the playoffs first. And if we got the ability to get further, then I think we can be the scary team. We can be like the 2007 Giants with that vibe that comes with fire and comes at the right time, or the 2010 Packers. If we have that kind of team, then there's some confidence there. But nah, I'm taking this game as one game at a time. I know a lot of the Niner fan base is just getting too ahead of themselves. And I'm like saying, don't take this game lightly. It's like you guys have to take it very seriously. This is our season. And I know the Rams are doing whatever it takes to win their division. I mean, I blame the Cardinals for beating the Cowboys. That could have been our way to get into the playoffs. But hey, who knows?
And could you see the 49ers going into Jerry World and beating the Cowboys, or going into Lambeau and beating the Packers?
You're putting me on the spot, man.
Man, we should talk about that time.
Yeah, okay. I like your question, but I'm gonna think which one's a likely possibility. We played good against Green Bay. It doesn't matter about playoffs. It doesn't matter if it's Lambeau Field. But I feel like when we play the Cowboys, they don't play good later in the season, like when it comes to the playoffs. So I think we could beat the Cowboys in Jerry World because they don't play great in the playoffs. But the Packers, we always tend to have their number. And I think Matt LaFleur is like our secret agent. Like, he'll give infos to Kyle and something like that, and we tend to beat them. So I think if I had to choose one, I would go with Green Bay, because Green Bay would probably be the one team we have the advantage on. Dallas can be like the unknown for us.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So okay, so if you guys had to play down the road, like for the Rams, I mean, you guys are just gonna get either the fifth or second seed, but which team do you feel confident about going into the playoffs? Do you feel like you should be able to beat the Packers in Green Bay, or possibly knocking off the Buccaneers or a team like Arizona?
Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing about this NFC playoff belt is you have a team, like the Eagles, who are probably going to be the seventh seed, who they can run the ball effectively and steal a game that maybe no one picked them to win. Or you have a team like the Packers, who have they obviously they have the most wins in the NFL. They have an elite quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and he can take over a game and make you pay for your mistakes, which is often what the Packers do. But I don't know, like I don't see I just don't see the Cowboys going on this run personally. I really think that this Rams team can beat any team in the NFC as long as they execute and limit the turnovers. I truly do believe in that. I know I am a biased Rams fan, and I proudly wear that title. I think we do have the defense that could take us there. They're a playmaking defense. They're able to close out games, and I think as long as this offense is able to execute, I think we can compete with anyone in these playoffs here. Young keeper, to answer this question specifically, I guess the dream scenario is you play like the Eagles or the Saints in the first round. Then in the second round, I would love to play the Cardinals again, just to have that divisional matchup thing. But I would love to meet the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game and beat them in Lambeau. I would love that. I would love that so much. But at the same time, like I can picture, if we got to play the Cowboys, and if we're the higher seed, they had to come into SoFi. That'd be a fun game. We didn't get to play the Cowboys this year, but I'd be optimistic that we could take them. And I don't know. I think it's gonna be a great NFC playoff for sure.
Yeah, if we can get in, but like if I look at the scenarios, like let's say we do beat you guys, or the Saints lose, one of the two of the other choices, we definitely would play you guys, or if you guys win your division, it would be the other way around. So it would be the Cardinals taking that fifth spot, and then you got the Buccaneers as that opponent we'll face. So those are like the tougher ones, but I feel like the playoffs are going to be challenging. I feel like the wild card week is going to be one of the better interesting factors. Like I think I want to see an actual matchup with the Niners and Rams for a third time. That would be kind of something to determine whether you guys are for real or not when it comes to the playoffs. But you guys might have to play some other teams if we somehow not get into the playoffs or the Saints lose. That would be the one case scenario.
Yeah. And again, Corey said it here. You have to have that dream for sure, but as you said, you gotta keep it one game at a time. But I think it's the players and coaches' job to keep it one game at a time. The fans, we're allowed to dream a little bit.
Yeah, but where I take that approach from is Marty Schottenheimer, one game at a time. That's what it means. Like take it one approach at a time.
Yeah.
So you guys are ranked number 15 total defense, I guess. The Ramilius Sports is a defensive mind geek right there. He got me the rankings right there. Now just play, man.
Yeah, well, I saw that question. I did pull up a little bit more details. So we're ranked 15th in points per game, 16th in yards per game, 7th in points allowed. So it is a defense that does pretty good. It does have a couple of categories that it ranks top 10 in. We're not as bad against the run as people think. However, there are some games that we do let the run go wild, unfortunately. We're pretty good against the pass, though, with and especially as of late, Ramsey's been doing good. We've been had Darius Williams has been balling out again, and we've Jordan Fuller had a big pick last week against the Ravens that turned the tide in that game. So yeah, it's a defense that can make plays, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going like that. And then Rudy's talking about your key players if they come back, which we're hoping to get back as D tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, and with him, Ashawn Robinson in there. Yeah, those are the guys you guys have. You guys have some solid depth for sure. Oh, John Jay, we got Mr. Ultimate Report in the building.
Hey, John Jay. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yeah, we got him in the building. I mean, I think you guys are like, I guess Rams only gave up 3.5 yards per carry against us last game. So that could be the challenging part, is if you can limit our running game. So
But,
okay, say what you're going to say. My bad.
And it's funny, the more and more, like, this is my first year being a YouTuber and also a Rams fan. And I've loved it. It's been awesome, but it's forced me to look beyond the stats sometime. And because you can have a team that's statistically good, like the Vikings or something, but then situationally they're not so good. And I'm sure yourself as someone who's played football before. If your team is amazing, but there's those situations in a game that come up that lose you the game, that's devastating, right? And we've seen bad defenses make it far in the playoffs before, but they're really good at generating turnovers. And so maybe you have like a ball hawking secondary, things like that. And so I the more and more I'm learning about this sport, because that's the thing I love about football. You're always learning more, right? About players, about coaching, about scheme, about how weather impacts stuff, or just the psyche of sports, right? And I think that's something that I've learned this season, is really starting to not just be a statistician all the time. Respect the stats and know that those are impressive, and you can celebrate stats as well. But knowing stats definitely aren't everything.
No, they're not. I mean, here's a surprising stat rank by the Niners pass defense. You want to know where it's ranked at?
No, I do want to know where. What?
Number 1. Like, I'm not lying. Look up pass defense, and it said, I was surprised more than everybody else. And I said, dude, our secondary is really bad. But if you take away the PIs and a lot of the other stuff, you'd be surprised how our secondary hasn't really given up the most yards. But a lot of the games, there's been quite an X factor to it. But yeah, I was looking at the NFL pass defense, and it had somewhere in between the number 1 rank, and I was like shaking my head, like, no way we could be up there.
That's interesting, huh?
But you just said stats don't matter, and that's probably what it was, the situational stats.
I don't know if I would say they don't fully matter, but I would say that they're not everything.
They are not everything. Like, dude, we can have the number 1 pass defense, but I think it has to do with our defensive line doing the job, because if I remember correctly, our 2009 team, they had a really good pass defense, but it had to do with the pass rush. The pass rush made everybody better. So I'm getting that vibe that it has something to do with the pass rush doing solid at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so who would be the X factor if you had to choose for your Rams?
You know what? I'm gonna. Oh, there's so many players I could pick here. I am gonna pick off. I'm gonna say Van Jefferson. I think that he's someone that can make the big surprise play. He's not the big name of OBJ or Cooper Kupp, but he's a good receiver. He didn't have the best performance, and he didn't even play that many snaps against the Ravens. But I feel like he's someone that could come in and surprise people and make a play that helps the Rams turn the tide this game.
So it would be Van Jefferson. So on offense, it would be him. But what about an X factor on defense?
Defense? There's so many to pick from. You know what? Go Leonard. I'm gonna say. I think I'm gonna say Taylor Rapp. The guy that Jalen Ramsey got in a little kerfuffle with. I think he's someone that can be kind of a feast or famine kind of safety, but I think he's someone that can make a big play when it counts as well on defense.
Yeah, those would be your X factors right there. But when I'm looking at the X factors for the Niners, I mean, it's got to be unheralded players that might be the biggest difference. But I know a lot of people don't bring him up as much, but I feel like the more you bring him up and it's in the red zone, I'm going to have to say Juwan Jennings. The
Okay.
guy in the red zone, that's where you can definitely give him the ball. He's got 3 receiving touchdowns when given the opportunity. So that's the guy I would want as my X factor. He can definitely be a blocker in the passing game, and he can catch some crucial plays. That's one guy that doesn't get enough talk, but as soon as he gets more opportunities, I think this guy's going to be a beast. But on defense, it's kind of pretty simple. Your boy Samson Ebukam, he's got to be the X factor because Nick Bosa's been getting a lot of he's been stepping up a lot. But then Arden Key's been coming around also, but Samson Ebukam is coming around. So it's like this guy's starting to show up a little bit. And then you got the guy Jordan Willis. But I like that. I like the idea of Samson Ebukam. I think he wants to take this game personal.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna have to look out for all these X factors and A factors and everything else in between. Man, I'm stoked for this game. Oh man, let's go.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that game, man. I mean, there's one sleeper. That's Trey Lance, and then your sleeper. Who you got for a sleeper?
You know what? I'm gonna say Cam Akers.
Ooh, yeah, good one right there.
Right, and I don't know how many snaps he's gonna get. He is the greatest mystery on the Rams right now because we were all shocked. A couple of it was probably in November, I want to say, when Sean McVay said that Cam Akers could possibly be back for the playoffs, which we were all like, "What?" We thought he was done for the year. And so then when he got activated with 3 games left in the season to the roster or off of the IR. And now this will be the first game that he's actually dressing and activated and can he can play. I'm really curious to see how Cam Akers does this game.
That will be the interesting factor. It was kind of exactly similar to when we had Jeff Wilson coming back, but except he's playing now. But I'd like to give a huge shout out to John Jay with the super chat 199.
Go John Jay.
Huge shout out to my boy John Jay. Anybody else, go check out his channel. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part is Cam Akers. I'm hearing about him coming back, and that's going to be the X factor. But, hey, speaking of your Rams, who do you put in your top 5, Mount Rushmore?
Man, there's so many to pick from. If you were to ask me this question like an hour from now, I'd probably change it. Off the top of my head, I got to do Steven Jackson. I got to do Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk, the greatest show on turf offense. I'm someone, right now, Cooper Kupp, like I've loved Cooper Kupp for years, ever since the Rams drafted him in the 3rd round. But this year it's so exciting to see him, really come into his own, to have a quarterback that's really taking advantage of his skill set and, being one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think I listed 5 right there, but I could go on. Like, I love watching up the old Rams like Deacon Jones or Eric Dickerson, Jack Youngblood, looking up highlights of kind of those Rams legends. That's always exciting. But yeah, I'd probably stick with that 5 right now, SG.
Yeah, if I had to pick my top 5 Niners when it comes down to it, like my Mount Rushmore is pretty like I just got Steve Young up there. Let's see, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Joe Montana. I didn't get to see alive, but I've heard a lot of great things, so he would be number 4. I know it kind of sounds weird to put him in the other category, but it's like then my fifth one is the most surprising one. I just like because he was entertaining. Terrell Owens, this guy was just really like the best receiver I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Oh yeah, Torrey Holt. I seen this guy from the Rams. He was the greatest show on turf, but he had those ugly fingers and all that, but he catched the ball. So it was like him and Isaac Bruce were something special. But then when you speak of another Ram, there's one Rams player who happens to wear number 80 before Isaac Bruce, and he used to be coming at my college, which is Fresno State. What's his name? Illiard or something. Henry Illiard.
Oh, yeah. Crazy legs. Yeah.
That guy was something. Yeah, I remember. I've heard of him, and he was always popping up on the name when I was in campus, and I seen his name, and I'm like looking him up, and I'm like, oh, he used to play for the Rams. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, let's help me get to 3K, man, and pay to 1.5K. That'd be what's up, man. Okay. But let's get on to the final prediction of the game, and then we can go on from here on out.
Sure.
So I'll go first on the prediction. And I know this part won't be like something you'll probably like to hear, but hey, I'm just gonna put it optimistic or something about it. But I feel like you guys are gonna play better and it's gonna be very competitive. But at the end of the day, Shanahan just has something under his sleeves, and I feel like this is the game where we definitely do need to get a playoff spot. So a win over the Rams, it's not just sweeping you guys; it's pretty much just getting into the playoffs. So I definitely have us winning by a field goal. So I'm going to say, like you said, it could be a low-score game. So I'm definitely going 17-20 Niners. It's got some competitive spirit.
Okay. All right. As that Matthew McConaughey would say. I'm predicting that the Rams win this game. And I don't think you'll fault me for that. But again, I do think this is gonna be a lower scoring game. I'm you know what? I'm gonna think I think I kind of want to agree with you on the score, but just to be different, I'm gonna say I think this game is like a 16-13 game for the Rams.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a 3-point difference, except you just went to the point down, but it's still the same way. Either way, they'll go by 3 points.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm calling the Rams. Oh, come on, Tommy.
Let's go.
Tommy's a Tom. Oh, I know. I get what Tommy's doing. He's pulling a Norv Cam. He's doing the reverse logic.
Oh yeah, whatever. We all know Tommy's a Rams fan at heart.
Yeah, no, seriously, man. But I'd like to give a thank you to all the people who came into the show. Definitely like to thank Chardall, Fortnite's Ultimate Report, Young Creep. My boy Roberto, and then my boy Roberto Hastings and Corey Davis, one of the bigger contribution to the community. I mean, this guy deserves to get some more subscribers. This guy's doing pick'em, so I'm pretty sure he'll get there at some point. But I'd like to give a thank you to Tommy Huxley. That's the funniest guy that everybody's ever met. So he's like one of the funniest dudes, if not the funniest guys. Oh, Payo Time. Do you know DeMarco Farr went to school with? Do you know DeMarco's Fall? I went to school with him.
Corey, that's so cool. I've met DeMarco Farr at a Lions game once when the Rams were in Detroit. I got to actually meet him, which was really cool. But no, that's awesome. You went to school with him. He's a great guy. He's pretty involved with the Rams to this day. He was on the Rams Super Bowl team back in '99. And yeah, DeMarco Farr, he's awesome. That's really cool. You went to school with him, Corey. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you want to know an interesting fact? Did you know that I played against the likes of Michael Kendricks and Eric Kendricks?
No way. Huh.
Yeah. And then the fun part is this guy plays for the Vikings. He's the leading tackler for that franchise. We had the guy for a little while, Michael Kendricks. Then he just went in and out. So he was with the Eagles and a Super Bowl champion. So I guess my history kind of says itself. But yeah, it's kind of interesting when Corey speaks of that. Hey, he went to school with DeMarco Farr. Cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, man. But I'm definitely looking forward to this week, man. And wish you the best of luck, but not against my team. But it's all love, man.
Yeah, man. Well, and CG, thank you so much for having me on your channel. Really appreciate what you do for this, football community that's going on. Excited to see you, collab with all the Rams YouTubers this week. And are you on the round table tonight?
Yep, I'm on the round table, and I got another gauntlet after that. After tonight, I got your boy super fan.
Woo! Let's go. Oh man, I'll try and tune in for that for sure.
Yeah, I'm just pushing. I'm putting the grind in and making up the lost times I wasn't able to get.
Oh well, you picked a good YouTube community to collab with this week. I'm honored that I could be the first one.
Yeah, you're the first one. Actually, you were the first one to begin with. If I remember correctly, you were the first Rams YouTuber I had on my show, and then you're like the first one to begin at the end of the season.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem, man. But as I appreciate you on the show, we'll definitely collaborate at some point down the road. But hey, dude, you're an awesome guy and you're growing your channel. Hey, but let's agree that we were both the victims of the Tom Grassi raid.
Hey, man, that raid was awesome. That was I haven't gone back to watch when he raided your channel yet. I want to do that, but love the Tom Grassi raid. When he raided me, that's what helped push me over 1,000 subscribers, which was really cool. But yeah, no, that's always fun when you're live streaming a game and then out of nowhere your viewership just spikes up and you get the Grossi posse in there.
Yeah, and thanks to him, I think I had about 30 subscribers off of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's pretty awesome. But hey, a lot of them are doing their predictions. I guess Corey's going a little off on this one. Hey, it could be a dominant fashion, or this. It could be one of those. But I think it could be a low scoring game. So we'll wait and see what happens. But and another shout out to John Jay for another super chat. Appreciate it. But let's end it on a good note, man. I appreciate you on the show. As always, go Niners.
Go Rams.